What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the annual rule change video, which has become an annual tradition because every single season there is a list of rule changes that just have to be implemented in Major League Baseball. Even though last year, as everyone tells me, was just a huge success with the new pitch clock, with the bigger bases, with the only 2 disengagements allowed for pitchers. The game was going quick. Everything seemed okay. 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40, boom. I thought everything was good now. Nope. Give them an inch, they're going to take a million miles, and we have more rule changes to quicken the game in 2024 because we got to get this game over quick. We don't want to mess around. We want this game over ASAP. So let's check out some of the new rules for 2024. We have a pitch clock that has been amended. Now when a runner's on base, instead of 20 seconds, 18 seconds. I'm sure that pitchers aren't going to be feeling that, because already 20 was kind of cutting it because you got to keep an eye on the runner and everything. But now only 18 seconds. So nothing changes when there's nobody on base, still 15 seconds. And then we have a runner's lane to first base that will be widened. Now, I don't so much mind this because there's been a lot of controversies when you have runner's interference, when the runner was pretty much running straight to first base. We saw it with Trey Turner back in the 2019 World Series. There was a huge controversy. I think that's when that was. But they're going to widen the lane. If this was the only thing, I'd be like, okay, I guess so. I mean, because we've had some controversies and you want to give the runner a little more freedom there, a little more room to be within the fair running lane. So, okay, that's one thing there. Also, the pitch clock and the pitching changes are going to be all these little things right here are just little minor things, but they're all to move the game along. Like, because I guess it wasn't fast enough last year. So now pitching changes when a new pitcher arrives on the warning track with less than 2 minutes left on the inning. Break clock, it will reset to 2 minutes instead of 2:15. Okay. Broadcasters are guaranteed 2 minutes worth of commercials, but inning breaks featuring a pitching change average 35 seconds more. So they're trying to cut that down. Fewer mound visits. Rather than 5, which was working fine, now it's 4. What's next year? 3, and then 2, and then 1. I mean, again, like 5 seemed to work okay. But because clubs average 2.3 mound visits per game, they're figuring, well, you don't need 4. Some games you do. Every game is different. I mean, I thought 5 was fine, but 2.3 per game, so they're going to say now you just get 4 mound visits. Signaling visits, defensive players won't be required to visit the mound to signal for a mound visit anymore. This is to prevent teams from using mound visits to kill time. Batter requirement for pitchers. This is in addition to the 3-batter minimum, which I hate. Now, pitchers who are sent to warm up for an inning have to face at least 1 batter. This is on the game mound. At first, I read this like the bullpen. I was going to lose my mind. I thought if you put someone to warm up in the bullpen, they have to come in the game. I was like, what? But no. If they actually come into the game and start warming up on the game mound, they have to face at least 1 batter. But the thing about it is there's only 24 instances last season of pitchers warming up between innings and then being replaced before throwing a pitch. 24. It's out of the thousands of games, it only happened 24 times. So in my mind, I'd be like, well, we don't need to mess with that. It doesn't happen enough to warrant messing with it. But having said that, obviously as a fan, when you see someone warming up, then they go and they change him, goes back to commercial. That can be annoying for sure. So I personally don't hate this one for that reason. But then again, 24 times, that's not even once per team. There's 30 teams. It didn't average once per team. There's at least 6 teams that never happened to all season. So whatever. Circumvention, the pitch clock operator will restart the clock after a dead ball as soon as the pitcher has the ball. And this is so the pitcher can't walk around on the edge of the mound, trying to either kill time or just, gather their thoughts or whatever. No, let's go. Let's get the game on. Let's get the game on the road. We want this game over as soon as humanly possible. So these are rules that were created by this joint competition committee, which was part of the CBA back in 2022. And the union and Tony Clark are not feeling it. This afternoon, player representative voted against the 2024 rule changes proposed by the commissioner's office. Clark wrote, as they made clear in the competition committee, players strongly feel that following last season's profound changes to the fundamental rules of the game, immediate additional changes are unnecessary and offer no meaningful benefit to fans, players, or the competition on the field. This season should be used to gather additional data and fully examine the health, safety, and injury impacts of reduced recovery time. That is where our focus will be. But because the committee outweighed the union They get their way. It doesn't really matter. They get their way. Manfred and them get their way, which is a million rule changes. I mean, it's just crazy. I was looking at the history of rule changes. You can see back in the day, going back to 1903, a couple of little changes here. That was when the first World Series was. 5 years passed, and they decided to make a few, like the sacrifice fly rule was adopted. Pitchers were prohibited from soiling a new ball. Things like that. We're like, okay, we got problems here. Then there was like one rule change in 09. Relief pitcher must face at least one batter. Makes sense. Stolen base is no longer credited when another runner in double steal is thrown out. These are just minor little things. Barely worth even mentioning, but one, and then 7 years passed. They had all freak deliveries, including the spitball, were outlawed. Balk to be called if pitcher releases pitch while the catcher is out of his box makes complete sense. Just a few things because this was early in the game. And they were early in the professional game, at least, and they were realizing problems. They were like, okay, players can't be allowed to do this. We got to make a rule. And even then, it was still pretty rare. 3 more years passed, 5 more years passed, and they made a minimum home run distance was 250 feet. You can't have a little league fence. Makes sense. Everything was pretty obvious. 78, pitcher can't throw out a batter. Thank you for that late breaking news. It took till 1978 to say the pitcher can't throw at the batter. 88, catcher. Then 10 years passed. Catchers must wear protective helmets while on defense. Oh my God, what an insane rule change! Like obviously, and then 10 more, like literally 20 years passed, and there was only 3 rule changes over a 20-year period. 78, 88, 08, or is that 30 years? I mean, from 88 to 08, that's 20 years right there. There was only like nothing. In 2008, and then all of a sudden, Manfred takes over. 14, a bunch of rule changes. 16, 17, 2020, a huge laundry list. 2022, 2023, 2024. We've had just rule changes galore. It's absolutely crazy. And like, I don't know, he's just not going to stop. He's not going to stop.
It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear. And it absolutely will not stop. Ever.
Some of these, I guess, are no big deal. I mean, these aren't this season, this 2024 changes are not, the end of the world. I'm not like furious over any of them, but it's just like, stop. Like the union said, we've made massive changes. Let's just take some time here and see how they're working instead of taking more time, trying to make it faster. When are you satisfied? When are you going to make the announcement that we're done? We have succeeded in making the game faster and we're done. That would be nice, but it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think here. Tony Clark's not feeling it, but this is just the beginning. There's going to be more changes next season. I can promise you that. 25, there's going to be more. 26. So be back next year for our annual rule change video, because who knows? God knows what they're going to do in the future. But, I mean, like I said, some of these are fine, but the majority of these I find pointless, and I think that just trying to do everything possible to get the game over as soon as possible is just not in the spirit of the game for me. But it is what it is. You guys have a good one, and we'll talk to you later.